Yes, hi. I am calling this number because I saw it on a bathroom wall. Seeing if you're Brandi.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and this is Brandi is Going to Hell. My taste in music is all over the shop, and it's the driving force behind this show. I will be bringing you music updates and chats with artists that you won't hear anywhere else.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
Everything's really collaborative, but lyrically it's a lot of me and Daniel sitting together and being like, so what are you trying to get at here? And how can we say that in a way that is powerful and funny? We have a joke about like, all right, so how do we wrap this thing up in one single line that's like really crushing and really funny and will like really make somebody hurt?
I'm Brandi Lukas, and that was Amy Hoffman of Future Teens, an emo/bummer pop band from Boston. In this episode, Daniel Radin, Amy, and I chat about the responsibility of confronting emotions within yourself in order to move forward, finding your bandmates on Tinder, and dissecting their latest EP, Deliberately Alive. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for smacking play on Brandi is Going to Hell. If it's your first time, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle and enjoy the ride. If you dig my conversation with Daniel and Amy of Future Teens, please follow my podcast anywhere where podcasts are heard, which now also includes YouTube. This is episode 17, so please dip your toes in the pool of previous shows while you work, cook dinner, ignore your partner, or exercise. I want to give a special shout out to the Salt Lake City-based band The Penitent Man for their announcement of being featured on Desert Records' Legends of the Desert Volume 2 with 3 new songs, all of which feature Todd Ogren, the keyboardist for Rival Sons' Tickling the Ivories. Todd was on episode 14 of Brandi is Going to Hell, where he mentioned working with the Penitent Man over the pandemic. This EP will be available for pre-order on April 2nd, and guess what? The Penitent Man is going to be on Brandi is Going to Hell on April 14th, so we'll talk all about that. And you can expect to hear that music in June. I also want to shout out to the Penitent Man for sending me the most rad package, which included their self-titled EP, a hoodie, a tank top, and stickers. I'm so grateful, and it was the first package I ever received from Utah. And now it's time for me to talk about records that were released within the past few weeks that I dig. To start, damn, Australia strikes again with another band. This time with alt indie rock Middle Kids. Their album Today We're the Greatest came out on March 19th, and I'm obsessed with Hannah Joy's vocals. San Francisco's Fake Fruit released their self-titled debut, which delivers talky indie rock meets grunge punk rock. I truly dig everything about this album, including the fun and funky illustrated album artwork. Next up is FYI Chris with the album Earth Scum. This South London duo is comprised of 2 Chris's, and they're both beat makers. The album makes me feel like I'm at the club, only I'm really sitting in my living room on my couch smoking some cannabis. Trippy and chill club music is what I was getting at. Moving on, Athens, Greece doom metal band Acid Mammoth released their 3rd full-length album Caravan, and it rules. Doom metal, psychedelic sludge, sign me up. And last but not least, on my list of records that I dug from the past few weeks is the Hyena Kill from Manchester. They released their 2nd album, A Disconnect. Their atmospheric alt metal has many layers. Also, the drummer is a woman. Girl drummers rule. And now, segueing into the main attraction. A few episodes ago, Future Teens piqued my interest when I was diving into my new music process that I just did. I was intrigued by their early 2000s emo pop time capsule. The first band that came to mind that I compared them to in my brain was Stray Light Run. So I'm going to stick with that because that was my first instinct. In the interview, the band references Taylor Swift quite a bit. I felt a little embarrassed and ashamed because I'll be completely transparent. I don't really listen to her. The only album I ever listened to of hers from front to back was Folklore because my friend Bobby Hawk played the fiddle on that record and I was super proud of him. For purposes of this intro, I did go back and listen to some of her discography, more specifically Red, before recording this intro, and I can see what Amy means when they reference Taylor Swift's Red as being an emo record. So anyway, enough of me babbling. I am happy to introduce Daniel Radin and Amy Hoffman of Boston's bummer pop band Future Teens. Their EP, Deliberately Alive, came out March 12th. So give it a listen, add it to your playlists, and enjoy our conversation. Hello, both. Thank you so much for doing this. Since I have both of you on the show, can you please introduce yourselves and your roles in Future Teens so everybody listening has a proper intro, especially if they're on the audio version?
So my name's Daniel. I am in Future Teens, a band from Boston. I play guitar and I sing, and my pronouns are he, him.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I am also in the band Future Teens that is from Boston with Daniel. I play guitar and sing, and my pronouns are they, them.
Awesome. So we all have our own discovery processes, and mine was going through all the new music that came out in February on albumoftheyear.org, which is where I heard Play Cool and Guest Room. And at first listen, I was hooked. I love your band's juxtaposition of sad feelings and happy sounding music. And you could say I showed up to the party a little late or just on time because it's my first time hearing you guys. So it's great for me. And I wanted to dive into some of the songs from your latest EP, Deliberately Alive, which was just out March 12th. So congrats on that release. The first thing I have to just say, elephant in the room, is you covered Cher's Believe. And I love Cher. That was awesome. Did you choose that song? Like, how did you choose that song to be on the EP? Because I know you've done some other covers in the past too that are pretty badass, but what led to this one?
We always knew that there would be a cover on the EP. That was like part of the plan, but we struggled to settle on one because we were like, oh no, it's on the record, it has to be really cool, what are we gonna do? And during our like one single 8-hour socially distanced marathon rehearsal, we talked through some of our favorite covers that we've done and came back to this set we did for Halloween like 3 years ago, where a lot of Halloween sets, bands will like pick another band and dress as that band, and we cheated and picked Kids Bop Volume 1, which is features Believe, and at the time it was like a party rock. Imagine if Believe were all the small things, and we decided to like reimagine that arrangement to use for the EP.
Very cool. It's funky and I dig it. And I'm not going to lie, when I first listened to the EP, I just hit play and went through. And at the end, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So that was super cool. Amy, in your interview with WBUR, I think I said that right. I guess they're a Boston station. Yeah. Okay, cool. You mentioned this EP deals with looking inward. Guest Room is mentioned as a mental health banger and also ties into the EP's title. Can you talk a little bit about that song and what it means to you both personally?
Yeah. So Guest Room and the phrase Deliberately Alive comes from that place of the feeling of like really not wanting to be here, but choosing to stay anyway, when like getting up and continuing to exist is like the harder choice than the alternative. And as these songs came together, that phrase really stuck out to us. And it something that's like really fun and weird about the way Daniel and I write together is we tend to like unintentionally be on the same page and be approaching like similar feelings from really different experience and angles. And the vibe of like, this is really hard and I'm struggling a lot and like having to grapple with a lot of stuff about myself. But I'm going to do my best to look at myself, look at my behavior, and look at like what matters to me and keep going. Was like, it was like a very prevalent theme through these 4 songs. So that phrase kind of glued it together for us.
Great. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you can...
No, that's fine. I'm just gonna add on one thing, which onto Amy saying is that I feel like we try not to be in everyday life and in our songwriting, not to be hard on ourselves, like unfair to ourselves, but also honest with ourselves. So there's like a fine line there that we try to walk in everyday life, but also when we're working on lyrics.
Absolutely. And coming from the other end, listening to it, I can relate as well, which is cool. It's not covered with too many crazy metaphors. I feel like it's very literal, and I can relate to it, which is a great thing as somebody who's on the receiving end as well. It makes that human connection a little bit more, you can grasp it a little bit more. You mentioned on the gram that Play Cool is about a moment you realize you're living in denial. Do you care to lay a specific example of yourself out on the table?
Yeah, so my best example is probably a lyric from that song that I think was it can be heard multiple ways, but it's in the second verse, and I was when I graduated college, I started touring right away, and with this bigger band. It was like my first national tours. I was like 22 maybe, and it was friends from high school, but it wasn't like my baby, and I love writing songs, so it was more difficult than I imagined to be in a band where I wasn't really contributing as much creatively as I would have liked. So I took all that energy and I did write some songs. So I channeled it healthily a bit, but I also on one tour had this sort of breakdown moment, which I reference in that song, where I was literally seeing how much beer I could drink on stage during our opening set. And these were the biggest shows I'd ever played in my life. These opening sets were for like 1 to 5,000 people. And I was on stage getting really drunk. And I'm like, this is not right. Like, I should be really like in the moment here, not just like trying to leave the moment. So there was an eye-opening experience where I was just like outside a venue having just drank a lot because I didn't have to drive. We were on a bus. And it was literally, the venue was a steakhouse for some reason. I don't know why. That sounds like a fever dream. But it was a venue, but it was a steakhouse, but it was also my cousin's house. And I just was like, I couldn't deny it anymore to myself. And I was like, I need to make a change here because this isn't going anywhere good. So that's kind of where that song came out of.
Wow. That's pretty deep. Yeah, that's like, no, that's a really cool kind of story behind a song. And obviously that's the song that I discovered you guys through when I first hit play. And I tweeted out that one line that really resonated me about sometimes your best is bad in context. And that really like hit my soul hard. So thanks for that. That was really awesome. Can you also brush on the EP's opener, Separated Anxiety, and the second to last tune, Bizarre Affection? I know you both sing on one or the other, but you also join in too, but with each other. But which will then also kind of piggyback onto a question I have in a bit about how that formula happens between the both of you when creating music.
Yeah, you want to should we start with that, Amy, and then go into the song? What do you think?
Sure.
You want to explain our creative process?
Yeah. So usually Daniel or I will come to the other one with like the seed of a song, have a little bit or a bunch of it written, and we'll like take a fine-tooth comb to it together to finish lyrics and melodies before usually before we take it to the rest of the band. At least it was for this EP, but a lot of the time when we have the luxury of it not being a pandemic and meeting every week as a band, we'll like bring a riff in and just go for it. Lyrically, everything's really collaborative, but lyrically it's a lot of me and Daniel sitting together and being like, so what are you trying to get at here? And what did this thing make you feel? And how can we say that in a way that is powerful and funny? We have a joke about like, all right, so how do we wrap this thing up in one single line that's like really crushing and really funny and will like really make somebody hurt? It's really fun. I think it's something that I felt really fortunate to have a friend and writing buddy like Daniel, who like we've just gotten more and more comfortable doing this together and sharing the hard stuff that turns into these songs.
Wow. And if you guys were meeting in a room together doing that and laying your feelings and everything out on the table, were you doing that for this EP over Zoom, over the phone? How, because you mentioned, Daniel, in the beginning when I was sidebarring with you before Amy joined, that you all met once in a bar masked, as a band. So how did this EP come about? Was it all Zoom or calls or?
Yeah. So it was I think most of the songs were started before the pandemic, but we did finish them over Zoom lyrically, and then we're not as that cool. We actually were in a barn with an N, not a bar.
Oh, a barn. Oh gosh. That's even better, to be honest.
It's a different kind of rustic. Yeah, then we Amy and I finished like the bones of the songs, then brought them to Maya and Colby, and we kind of all just worked together and finished the arrangements. But yeah, the ideas behind the songs were already formulated by the time the pandemic had begun. And I guess that leads to about separated anxiety. That song I started writing after kind of a difficult conversation with my partner when we were on tour, and we toured. I think we figured out it was like 6 or 7 months out of 2019, out of 12 months, which is a lot of time to be away from home for many reasons. And we were lucky enough to be staying at our friend August's studio in Minneapolis area, and so it was just us there at night. And so I could go into like a literal ISO room and just like play guitar and sing. I think it was like 12:30 at night, and I was just in this room, and I was like, I just have these thoughts I need to get out. And I literally said aloud to Heather, that's my girlfriend. I was like, I don't hate myself. I think I'm just tired and overwhelmed. And after I said that, I was like, I think I need to go write some music, because I think that maybe is a lyric. So that came out of that. And I remember Colby was like walking by to go to the bathroom, and he just looked in the room and he was like, "You good in there? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm fine." Just taking the time, because you don't get that much time to write on tour at all. So anytime you get the chance and you're feeling in the mood to write, it's like, I gotta take hold of that.
Awesome. Very cool.
Bizarre Affection draws on a lot of stuff and a lot of like tough feelings. I think when we were writing it, Daniel, I was like, this is going to fall somewhere between like Tom Petty and Taylor Swift. And then Daniel texted me like, I think this is maybe our All Too Well.
If you're familiar, that's the best Taylor Swift song.
Okay. I'm not a Taylor Swift girl. I'm sorry. That makes me
No, I think you will like this song.
Okay, cool.
I think
Taylor Swift is emo. Red is an emo record, and you can quote us on that.
All right, I'm gonna dive in after this.
I'll die on that hill. Bizarre Affection is like, I think it's kind of like the next chapter of breakup season. It's kind of like the bridge between the two records, where it's taking some of those experiences and condensing them to like, okay, all of these are connected, and I am the through line, and like, what parts of me are involved in like the failures of various different kinds of relationships. Like, what part did I play in these falling outs, and what do I need to confront in myself, whether it's like bad anxiety or here's a moment I was selfish and holy shit, I am like being avoidant around all of this like hurt and trauma in my life. A big theme in this band is something that Colby says a lot, which is our trauma is not our fault, but it is our responsibility. And that song is like a lot of me taking stock of relationship trauma and like ways that I could have done better, and trying to be like, hey, a lot of shit has happened to you that has like manifested in these situations that were not necessarily bad. You just got hurt, and like, what can you do to face up to that and like look forward?
Yeah, that's very relatable. It's kind of like looking back at these moments in time from a different part of your life, and being reflective. And there's nothing that's like the most beautiful thing a human can do, right? Because it helps you grow, and it helps the people around you when moving forward. You're just very aware of yourself, so that's great. I love that. And I kind of wanted to I wanted to chat with you about your release's imagery. Every release has this plain white background with something in the forefront, from the beginning of your releases to Deliberately Alive, and your mug, Amy, on Guest Room, and the blocks for Play Cool, and this OG Hoover on the Deliberately Alive EP. Is there a specific meaning or metaphors for the 2021 series of releases? Or did it just look nice? I don't know. Sorry. I just saw that and it made me think, oh, is there something more here? Or is it just artistic? Or I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
We struggled to settle on something that really felt right for these songs. It was I think we wanted to touch on like Deliberately Alive. What does that mean? Like, what does that center on to us? And we're trying to like get through to what are the things that we choose to do that make us feel slightly less like a waste. What are the like mundane things that give a day the like slightest bit of meaning or accomplishment? And it was our manager's idea to find that vacuum. He was like, all right, you talk about a vacuum in the first line of this song, like let's scrap this idea because I think we've really got something here. I found this vacuum on Craigslist, should I get it? And we really loved it, and jumped off from there. Do you want to say more, Daniel?
No, I think we knew that we wanted to keep that cohesive look from Hard Feelings, and even from before that there was an EP that came out and that was the same vibe. I think partly it's just like it's sort of like satisfying to look at in some ways, and also we want it to be like open-ended but not not too specific. Wait, open-ended but not too specific. Is that the same thing, or is that my brain's not really working? Anyway, so and also we all like, if you can see, I don't know if there's video on this, but if there's not, like when for people listening at home, that we like stuff and things, and we attach sentimental value to things. So including things on our album covers feels very appropriate. It looks like you like things too.
Oh, I really like things. This is only a quarter of my thing collection. Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that thing mentality. As far as I'm really curious because about the mug. Why is that your favorite mug?
So that mug was given to me by a person in my life named Marin. Right after I graduated from college, I needed a job. I needed something to do. I had to find a way to pay rent in Boston, and stumbled into this home healthcare gig, working for someone, Marin, who had MS, cerebral palsy, and a lung condition, and needed 24/7 help. And rather than hiring professionals, she liked to hire people like me who don't have a medical background, and train us to do what she needed help with, because she wanted to be treated like a person, not a patient. And working with Marin was extremely formative. I was like 22, completely out of my depth, and learned so much. I worked with Marin until she passed away. And
oh my gosh.
she was my best friend, and she
that's so beautiful. That's very wow.
That was the mug I drank tea out of every morning. And she was kind enough to leave me that and one of her guitars.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story. That makes me love that song even more now. Wow, that's really cool.
Marin taught me everything I know about choosing to be here.
Wow, that's wow. I can't even like put words to that. That's just such a beautiful thing. So thank you for that story. That's really touching.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah. Daniel, you're the longest standing member of Future Teens. Can you talk a little bit about the band's history, your relationship with Take This to Heart Records, and then how you two became connected?
Sure. So I'll give you the quick rundown.
Yeah, it can be the clip notes.
So the band was started as like a joke / recording project with my good friend from high school, Gabe Goodman, who's also a great singer-songwriter in his own right. He ended up moving to New York not long after we found Dylan and Nick, who are original guitarist and drummer, respectively. Then when Gabe left, I still wanted to play shows with Future Teens, and we had been starting to work on Hard Feelings around when Amy and I connected on this musiciansmeet.com dating app / Tinder. And I messaged them on Tinder, and I was like, it was just Tinder.
Was it legit? Okay, I was going to ask it.
Yeah.
You mean just Tinder, right?
I messaged them, and I was like, hey, I know this isn't what this app is for, but do you want to play in a band? And they were like, send me the music. And I sent it, and they sent their stuff, and it was like, oh, this actually is a good fit. So they came to practice with Nick and Dylan, and we all just got along really well and finished Hard Feelings. And then when we finished it, I was like, all right, I've never had luck with labels, never really. But I'm just going to cold email some labels. And the only two people who got back to me, one was Jamie Coletta, who was at Side One Dummy at the time, which was like about to fold, I think. And so she was like, I like this, but like, it's not going to work right now. Now we work with Jamie, and it's awesome. So it worked out. And the other person I emailed was Joe from Take This to Heart. And I was just like, hey, we finished this album. Maybe you'll like it, kind of thing. I should find the email. I don't remember exactly what I said. He responded within like 15 minutes and was like, hey, I follow you on Twitter. Like, I'm going to listen right now. And proceeded to email me like after every song, just being like, oh, and Love or Whatever's cool. That'll be a single. Duh. And like just going through each song. And I was like I had just gotten on a plane to go to Scotland. And I was just like, had Wi-Fi somehow, but it was really slow. So I was like trying to load these emails from him, like so excited. And in one of the emails, he was like, "So you guys gonna tour, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, we love touring. We do it all the time. We just haven't done it yet, but we're gonna." Thinking in the back of my head, like, no one wants us to tour. Like, if we get to play some more shows in Boston, great. But I don't think we're really gonna tour. But Joe's like help really and pushing us and connecting us with people and making friends on Twitter, which used to be a thing. And
Right.
we booked our first tour and we really liked it. I liked doing it. And eventually Nick, our guitarist, moved to New York, started a band called Marinara. That's excellent. Dylan left and is now a extremely talented and high in demand tattoo artist. And Colby and Maya joined, and we did a couple more DIY tours and then ended up working with a booking agency and just kind of went from there.
Wow. So the Tinder thing seems like the best use case scenario. Like, screw all the other, actual relationships that are romantic that come out of it. That is the, epitome of a success story. And it sounds really awesome to be able to work with a record label that is so in love and excited about your music, especially if they're already sending you what they think are going to be the singles without even shaking hands virtually. That's really cool.
Yeah, I said in another interview, I was like, Joe, who is the founder of Take This to Heart, I was like, Joe has a childlike wonder about music. And he texted me, he goes, "You think I have a childlike wonder about music?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I guess I do."
Yeah, maybe, yeah. That's cool.
Joe's the best. He's like, just like loves his bands so much. I don't know anyone that works harder than Joe Urban. And like we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if he hadn't taken a chance on us.
That's great. It's always the people. Well, obviously the people that make the music is number one. And then it makes us people who work to make it seen and heard is a job in itself. And it's purely based off of love. So I can totally resonate with Joe at the record label. So that's really cool. I
mean, personally, I do it for the money, but it's cool that you...
That's so funny. I mean, like,
in it for the
nice
one single burrito Spotify has paid us.
Oh my goodness. That's a really cool story. So cool. Thank you for that. And then so I see that you're getting pretty active on TikTok. I think that's all Amy though, because I couldn't find you, Daniel, on it.
No, I let them handle that.
No, it's all good. I saw that you're 9 months sober, Amy. Congrats on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's still going, but that is definitely like an amazing, ritual of the pandemic to do that every day. So I give you a lot of props for that. That's awesome.
Thanks so much. It rocks.
It does. I can agree to that.
Colby is also sober and has been for coming up on a decade. And getting to know Colby and learning from him, and that thing he said about trauma not being our fault but our responsibility was Colby has been like a big reason I believed that I could stop drinking. And I'm really grateful to him for being the kind of friend he is and being so open about his sobriety. I work in a brewery and just like was really not like a healthy dude. And being able to make that change in my life has been really huge.
Very cool. That's very inspiring. I have a lot of people in my close circle that I love that are also going through that same kind of like process, and it is a remarkable thing to keep with, and 100% props to you for that.
Thanks.
So you mentioned before that 2020 was going to be a heavy touring year following the release of Breakup Season. But regardless of that, 2020 seemed to still be pretty active in your world. You kept active and released the Sensitive Sessions EP, which was a more gentle approach to breakup season. And in December 2020, Future Teens was a part of a compilation called TV Tunes, a retrospective of TV theme songs. Can you talk a little bit about that project? And yeah, just talk a little bit about that project for me.
Yeah, it's funny. Besides the only difference in 2020 for us, besides obviously not touring and not being able to play shows, we had already planned to do Sensitive Sessions, and we have made it a tradition at this point to do a compilation. The last year was Taylor Swift, just saying, and then the year before that was Carly Rae Jepsen, and so this year, or last year now, we wanted to do something that was a little more open. You know, people could pick something that there's just a wide variety of choices. But as I said, the only difference is like everyone had a ton of time. So when we asked our friends like, hey, you want to be in this comp? Everyone's like, yep, I'm free. I'm home. I'm not touring. Because usually our friends are all like, all right, I have like 2 weeks between tours and I think I can get it done. Like, so everyone was really down to do the covers. And the EP also we had planned to do with Joe. At first it was like, should we wait on this till we can play shows? And then once it was like, who knows when we can play shows? At this point now it seems there's some idea, which is great. But it was like, well, we have these songs and we are excited about them, and Joe's really good at planning things out. So it feels like a meaningful way to release the music. But yeah, besides the not playing shows, it was all pretty much pre-planned before, which is strange, but I guess that's just how it works sometimes.
Yeah. So you chose to do The Adventures of Pete and Pete purposely?
Yes.
Okay. Why that one?
I think someone signed up for it, and then I think Happy Just to See You signed up for it, and they switched to Cheers. And so then it was open. We're like, we can't put this comp out and not have the Pete and Pete theme song on it. So that's it kind of worked out.
Wonderful. And that EP also benefits a lot of wonderful charities as well, from what I remember. I don't know if you remember them off the fly, but I have them written in front of me if you want to talk about any of them.
Yeah, this past year we did First Nations Development Institute or FDNI, I think. But we always try to pick something that feels, I don't know, that I guess that feels like a charity, a newer charity doing exciting work. And it's cool to see. It's cool to, like, once we find out about the charity, we follow all their social medias and stuff like that, and then get to see, like, what was the one we did that provided meals for like young trans people, like people would come in and cook. Okra Project. Yeah, like we saw Hanif post that, and we were like, we donated some. We did
it was one of the like
the
raffles over the summer.
Yeah, and that project, that organization has taken off like crazy. Like when we were first finding out about them, they were still like pretty small, and now they're doing really well. So it's just cool to get a chance to do that research and find out about a new organization. Honestly,
that's great, and it feels so good to give back too. It's like the most wonderful feeling, and you get to because you have this clout as a band, you get to really expose more people to it as well, which is also a gift in itself. That's wonderful. And Daniel, you also had a song on the compilation under your solo project, Lake St. Daniel, and you released an album October 2020. So congrats on that. I'm sure it was cathartic to release your own music in your own way. And, given the circumstances of the pandemic, it's another, cool thing to do on your own. Do you do that, Amy, or does anybody else in the band do that?
Yeah. I don't have anything that's like ready to rip yet, but I have a solo thing that will happen eventually. And then our old drummer and I are about to resurrect a a long dormant band
Oh,
called
cool.
Death Party. Dylan's recording this week, and then I'll hop in with him soon. So
That's great. It sounds like the Boston music scene is really cool. I grew up in the Philly music scene when I was
Nice.
A teenager, so I'm more exposed to the underground culture there than I am to Boston, but it seems very similar and cool in its own ways, and I really get excited about grassroots artists, so that's really awesome. Every interview, unless you would like to talk loads more about future teens, I often segue to a rapid fire question segment of the interview. I think I covered a lot about Deliberately Alive and the way that you two formulate music. So unless there's anything you want to add about future teens itself, I will go to the rapid fire.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So besides making music, do you have any weird talents or hobbies?
My new hobby is buying old broken pinball machines and then fixing them in my basement late at night.
Oh, wow.
That's what I picked up during the pandemic.
Huh. Is fixing a pinball machine more along the lines of fixing a computer or a clock? Is it more gears or is it more computer chip? I don't know.
It's more mechanical.
Okay.
It's mechanical and electrical, but it's not like a computer. There are boards in the back.
Okay.
So it's like a very basic computer running.
That was
running
a
the
dumb
game,
question on my part because I literally know nothing
I
about pinball machines.
I didn't know. The first one I got, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm scared to even like pick the playfield up. Like I didn't know I didn't know how to take the glass off. So, I was definitely a steep learning curve, but now I'm like soldering in my basement, like listening to my Stephen King audiobook, and it's a good vibe.
Yeah, that is a good vibe. Amy?
I spend every nice day I can get riding my bike. That was my earliest sobriety vice, was just riding my bike, arguably way too much. And now it's a more healthy amount of bike riding. And I'm just like constantly looking for my next bike or new parts. Not that I need another bike, but much like my collection of pedals and guitars, and bad boy t-shirts, I just cannot seem to stop. And my roommates and I have like a new reality TV show constantly that we're binge
What's the one
watching
right now?
Oh man. We did it's The Challenge right now. That's the big one. We're also neck deep in The Bachelor. Very happy Chris Harrison isn't hosting next season. We'll just cover that. We did a lot of America's Next Top Model, which also doesn't hold up. Where it's at the point where like we turn on The Challenge every week and we're like, oh, family reunion.
Awesome. In 40 years, what do you think people our age will be nostalgic for?
Ooh.
It's okay to think about it. I just like to throw in these mind-bending thoughts.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's hard to say. I mean, I hope any nostalgia that I carry is like a healthy nostalgia and not like I wish things were the way they were when I was young, Like that sort of old man mentality is so prevalent and so tired every time every decade or whatever, it's like, even I live in a town that
Back in my day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, the good old days before civil rights. It's like, no, those weren't good. Those were bad.
I can totally feel on that. I wasn't going down that rabbit hole. I guess I was
No.
Oh.
Like I could have been like VHS tapes, but of course I say like this. I don't know. I think I am a person who, I think that the ability for everyone to play music and learn music and release music has gotten so much more widely available even in our lifetime. And so I guess that's something I hope continues to improve because there's just less gatekeeping in a lot of ways than there used to be. Of like, you have to go to a recording studio and you have to pay all this money, and it's not really like that anymore. And I think that's really neat that anyone can put out a record and have people hear it. So I guess that's the opposite of your question.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. And Amy,
I mean, I think that this is like maybe a little dark, but I think we're forever going to feel like a sense of nostalgia and loss toward some of the stuff that we could do pre-pandemic.
Human interaction for sure.
Yeah. Like our human interaction is going to be like different forever, even though it will like go back to similar stuff. Like I was like handing someone their beer order this morning at my job, and their hand touched mine, and I was like, I need sanitizer, which is like not something that I ever felt before the pandemic. Like where it shows like bumping into people and like shaking hands all night, and I will like, still wash my hands really often, but it's not the same kind of panic. And like, I'm already nostalgic for not feeling a panic around like someone else touching me, which I guess I will always feel panic around a stranger touching me, but it's different. It's different now.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I was also thinking along the lines of, I mean, just because I watched that awful program, even though it was still relevant, The Social Dilemma on Netflix, just about this, interacting with people, especially younger people. I just really miss that, and it's sad not to see in people that are younger than us. You do see it sometimes, but when you get to like peep into the classroom, or because sometimes I volunteer and I'll go in for career day and things like that, it's really interesting to see how many people don't want to speak unless it's through a means of a computer screen. It's very, very interesting because I'm really mouthy, so it's kind of a weird scenario, but
it's wild how like of even like pseudo anonymity will like embolden somebody to speak in a way that they wouldn't just like in a classroom setting.
I mean, it gives
that's
a lot
so
of
foreign to me.
Yeah, it definitely gives people a voice maybe they never would have before, and I can see the beneficial parts of it. But we're humans, and that's like the most basic kind of interaction and thirst I think we all have, is that interaction that's real and in present. Cool. So what cartoon world would you wish what cartoon world do you wish you could live in for a week?
Someone asked this a similar or it was like, what fictional world, not cartoon.
Yeah.
And I answered with a cartoon. I said Over the Garden Wall, like that show. It's one of the guys from Adventure Time made it, and it's very magical and also kind of creepy. And I like that.
Okay.
I want to hang out in Rocket Power because I really want to skateboard.
That's cool. Can you skateboard?
I wish.
Okay.
That's another thing that I keep going back to. I've spent the whole pandemic with a skateboard in my shopping cart. Like, I should just do this, and then be like, no, I can't hurt my hands. I'm gonna get hurt.
Makers,
I know. But there's a skate park right behind my house, so I'm just like, I want it. I want it.
That's how I feel about skating. There's skating and skateboarding are two things that there's still time in 2021, but I did set that parameter for myself to try one of them. So cool.
Hell yeah.
That's all I got. So I would love it if you all could plug the best way everybody can listen to Future Teens, the best way to support you as a band, and where to find you online.
We're all over all the internet now.
Yeah.
We have all the social medias. I don't know if we're still active on TikTok, but
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Not consistently active. I don't know.
That's probably good.
I had a TikTok do surprisingly well, but like not necessarily, I don't know. It was kind of good, but also I got like harassed a lot. So
It went
TBD
viral.
on
Like people
Yeah.
mentioned it. They're like, "Oh, I saw your bandmate on TikTok on my front page."
Yeah, people started like coming by work being like, are you the Rubik's Cube TikTok guy? Like, oh no.
And you're like,
That should
"No."
have been one of
You
your
can-
talents, Amy, that you're good at.
Oh yeah.
Rubik's
Yeah,
Cube.
I can do various kinds of Rubik's cubes.
I can
And
do
I made a
zero,
TikTok
so.
about how I'm a fucking nerd. And a lot of people online were upset about it.
You're like, "I'm a nerd," and they're like, "Oh, well then I guess I have to bully you."
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah,
you told me you're a
I
nerd.
guess I hate you because you're a nerd who uses they them pronouns.
And
Most
that's
people were
another
really
thing
cool.
about nostalgia is, I don't mean to interrupt you, but people are
go
badasses
ahead.
behind keyboards, and if you're in person, they won't have that same attitude.
No.
You know what a lot of them don't understand is like, hey dude, you used your real name and told me where you go to college. I'm calling your Title IX coordinator for sexual harassment. Like, I have the time.
More time than ever right now. Right?
Yeah, I have plenty of time right now to like do whatever I can to make sure you don't do this to like a more vulnerable person. Let's go.
For
I'm
real.
ready.
Well, good on you for
But
sticking
yeah,
up for
I
yourself.
don't.
Anyway, we're on Facebook.
TikTok TBD. We're hoping that things stay a little more calm and a little more wholesome. We'll see if I have the brain space to continue being on TikTok.
Yeah.
But we are all the social medias, including regrettably TikTok, at Future Teens USA.
Great. And the preferred way to support you, do you prefer Bandcamp or, you know?
Emotionally. Mostly.
Feel that.
I mean, if you go to our Bandcamp, you can get merch and all that, but we also I think I should, if I haven't done this, link to our benefit compilations. If that isn't, then by the time this goes up, it'll be done. But so you can listen to all the benefit compilations, and all the money is still getting donated. So those are the good ways.
Great. And I guess we'll be hearing some more Future Teens music since you are all writing.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of writing, and we're just eager to put more music out. I mean, it was surprising at how heartening it was to put out the music, this EP, and people's response to it has been like just totally amazing in a rough past year. So looking forward to putting more out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast.
Thanks for
having us.
And there you have it. Future Teens on Brandi is Going to Hell. You can follow me everywhere online at Brandi Lukas. That's Brandi with an I, Lukas with a K, except TikTok. That's at Brandi is Going to Hell. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It is a passion project of mine, and I'm just very grateful for everybody that smacks that play button. It just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Until next time, set a reminder for my episode with the Penitent Man on April 14th, and also check out some past episodes. Be nice to animals, be nice to old people, and be nice to people in general. And let me leave you with a thought. Progress, not perfection. Thank you, yes you, for listening to Brandi is Going to Hell. I have a lot more thank yous in order for making the show come alive. I want to thank Celeste Giuliano for her amazing pinup photography. I dreamed of having my photographs taken by her in order to make my podcasting dreams come to life. So thank you, Celeste, and your team for making me look like a hot mama. Thanks to Crystal Rugel for her design direction for my new logo. Spent many nights texting her late. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And she was such a great resource. Shout out and many thanks to Ryan Hanratty at Frosted Green Productions for all video production. My man, definitely don't want to be fucking with video, and you've saved my life. My amazing husband, Mike Airy, for always believing in me and bridging the gap between me and amazing artists. I love you and you're my rock. St. Neots hardcore band Impact for the music throughout the show. You can check out their EP Strength Through Loyalty on every streaming service. My friend Gooch, aka Ryan Nelson, for always asking me when's a new show coming out. My friend Matt Young, who got my foot into the door as an intern at IndieGoot, which led me to my first career in music at Q Prime. So a major shout out goes to Doug Oswandel as well for giving me a chance and hiring me there. My dad, John Lukas, for raising me with an impeccable taste in music. And my mom, Beth Ann Lukas, for helping me be a functional adult with good credit. Last but not least, Brandi is Going to Hell is dedicated to my badass grandmom, Elizabeth Betty Fowler.